my brother and I, in a shared physical parenting partnership. Now going into my sophomore year of college, I cannot imagine growing up in an environment where I would only be able to see my dad every other weekend. I switched from my mother's to my father's house each week. It was not easy, and I sometimes felt like I was living out of a suitcase. But being older now, I cannot begin to express how appreciative I am that I could spend an equal amount of time with both my parents, even though they were divorced. My parents hadn't been amicable, and the law that was in place in 2006, which did not protect against the bias of the court, I have no doubt in my mind that my relationship with my father would be different. I testified before a Senate Judiciary Subcommittee in Columbia, South Carolina, in support of shared parenting legislation that was later passed on June 18, 2012, as a daughter of divorced parents with a physical and legal shared parenting agreement. This is me at the Senate Subcommittee with Senator Knott, Senator Lori, and Joe Carter. It is important that the law assume no bias and should start with equal opportunity for both father and mother to be involved in their child's life, physically and legally following divorce. Today, I will explain how shared parenting is the best and most beneficial plan of action for a child of divorce. The psychological and social advantage of having both parents in a child's life is invaluable. The bias against fathers in family court is an outdated stigma that can be manipulated by angry mothers using their children as pawns to punish their husbands. Ultimately, the child's best interests should be put first, and today I will show you how shared parenting does just that. When marriages fail, a belief that mothers are the best suited to physically raise their children rather than their father is a bias that is just not always true. Divorced fathers without physical shared custody generally want more time with their children. Legal joint custody and physical joint custody are not the same thing. Legal joint custody means when a father and mother equally get to make decisions in their child's life, such as schooling, medical records, sports, and religion. Physical joint custody is where the child resides. Our judicial system has historically been biased against the father. This can be shown in this graph. This is a graph from the census online that shows women generally received custody over the father. And in 2007, 83% of women received custody, whereas 17% of men. Joe Carter, the founder of South Carolina Coalition for Parents and Children, declares that if joint legal custody of a child is awarded to the parents, there is a rebuttal presumption that both parents have joint physical custody of the child. There's a stigma attached to divorce situations where one party, quote-unquote, wins. Casey Wilson, author of Where's Daddy? The Mythologies Behind Custom Access Support, published in 2000, states that as long as everyone knows there will only be one parent, that it's all or nothing, winner take all, obviously they will be each other's enemy. Divorce can be a nasty disaster, and there's separation of assets and mixed emotions and feeling. However, the child should never be used as a tool by the parents to hurt one another. Peter Kucera is a parent and father who is a victim of the court bias. His angry ex-wife manipulated the system in order to not allow him to have joint physical custody of his child. Mr. Kucera is just one of many fathers that want to spend more time with their children, but are denied that right because the laws have not supported shared physical custody. You can see here that father deprivation is a more reliable predictor of criminal activity than race, environment, or poverty. Casey Wilson, author of Where's Daddy? Mythologies Behind Custody Access Support, published in 2000, states these stats, that 90% of homeless and runaway children come from a father-deprived situation. Also, 85% of children that exhibit behavioral disorders, 71% of high school dropouts, and 85% of youth in prisons.
A father that is consistently involved in his child's life can be a life-changing factor in whether they have a stable and healthy life. If a father is willing and wanting to be in his child's life, he should not be denied that right. Children should feel like an equal part of each of their parents' lives, which is why if no signs of neglect or abuse are apparent, shared parenting is the best choice for children of divorced parents. Studies have been done on shared parenting families that support kids with better psychological well-being than that of kids who see their fathers every other weekend or rely on a sole parent. According to Dr. Linda Nielsen, professor of education and adolescent psychology at Wake Forest University, in an article titled Shared Parenting After Divorce, a review of shared residential parenting research published in 2011. Dual resident shared parenting agreements states that they feel closer to both of their parents and were less likely to be stressed by feeling the need to take care of their mother. Joint physical custody has an impact on the social well-being of a child. In an article titled Shared Parenting After Divorce, a review of shared residential parenting research written by Dr. Linda Nielsen in 2011, states that the shared resident adolescents were better off in regard to antisocial behavior, smoking, depression, and self-esteem. The impact that the current system has on child and father relationships is disturbing. The little amount of time that the father has with his child can lead to crumbling relationships. Dr. Linda Nielsen, professor at Wake Forest University, in a review titled Shared Parenting, a review of the supporting research published in 2010, states that, beginning with the earliest longitudinal studies from the 1980s, researchers have found that children who spend the most time with their fathers have the closest, most meaningful relationships with them from there on. Fathers without a shared physical custody agreement are being done a disservice in regards to their relationship with the child. The bias that has stuck in our judiciary system against fathers is ironically not reflected of most of the public's opinion. Most men and women are in favor of shared parenting agreements. However, our legal system does not reflect this. Our legal system is clouded in gender bias. Our society urges fathers to be involved in their children's lives, but sends an inconsistent message that when compared to mothers, dads are expendable and less significant. How do we change bias? We must address the flaws within our legal system. As James Gross, author of Father's Rights, a legal guide to protecting the best interests of your children, states in his book, published in 2004, that trying to resolve a modern family problems with a 400-year-old system is like forcing a square peg in a round hole. Jay Folberg said it best in his book, Joint Custody and Shared Parenting, published in 1991. Parental cooperation can't be easily ordered or legislated, but it can be professionally, judiciously, and statutorily encouraged and endorsed. I do not say this lightly, but family court law is flawed. The expectation of the law should be that when divorce happens, the physical and legal custody of the child is shared equally between the parents. The importance of the father in raising a child cannot be stressed enough. Looking at statistics alone, fatherless homes raise troubled children. The fathers that want to be in their children's lives as an equal parent are not wrong in striving to attain this goal. As the awareness for shared parenting continues to grow, hopefully so will the awareness of our biased judiciary system. Shared parenting is the best option for the child of divorced parents. I can personally testify as a daughter raised through shared parenting that it is the best option for the children.